WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. And today I have a whiskey from Indiana. It's basically a MGP juice, but yet it's special. So, the spirit of Waiantanwa. I'm sorry for mispronouncing any Native American expressions. The creator of this whiskey, Mike Müller, over here in Germany from an independent bottling company called Best Dram. He actually went online, found out where Lawrenceburg, Indiana is, then went back into history and found out where an original tribe was, and he found out that the Waiantanwa tribe, Indian tribe, or Native American tribe actually were there, and so he named this whiskey after them. Now, this is a very interesting whiskey because it's not just because it's 56.3%, but because the history behind this whiskey. Yes, it was manufactured at MGP, but then it was sent over to Scotland, matured in the warehouses of the, I assume, if I will correctly remember, the whiskey broker. And then what I think that happened was actually they had a barrel and they sold half the barrel, and the other half this other guy actually got, and that was Mike Müller. And he then asked, or it was actually done for him, that it was put in a sherry octave. An octave is about 50 liters. And so this is a bottling of 73 bottles. That's it. Sometimes you talk about a short cask in the States with 200 some. This is a short cask with only 73 bottles. Sold over here in Germany for 78 euros, 87, 89 dollars at the moment. And so what we have here is MGP juice, not matured in the States for these almost 9 years here. It was distilled, 8 years. It was distilled 2010. It was bottled 2018. Single cask number 20A, as we see the A there. I think it was actually an A and B cask. And what they did is they let it mature in England, where the temperature differences are not as much as Kentucky, Indiana, and so on. And so there's a much bigger difference also in the taste of this whiskey than compared to a normal MGP brand, and it has a sherry finish, which is also very, very interesting. So I'm going to compare it here to this. This is also something that is not very, very common in the States at the moment, but I enjoy this a lot. This is the W.H. Harrison Indiana Straight Bourbon Whiskey, Governor's Reserve, barrel proof, 57.5%. This was batch 4, by the way. So I'm going, I forgot to pour that. So I'm going to pour both of them. And this is what I do in my German videos a lot more, by the way, at the moment, as I compare two of these things. One of it helps me to keep my standards more or less up to the limit, or to the benchmarking as it should be, because sometimes you go, oh, this is so much better than, and you taste it and it was like, oh, it's actually much, much better than, or not as good as, and so that actually helps sometimes. So, the spirit of W at the moment from Best Dram. Very nice. A lot of chocolate, which is unusual for bourbon. A little bit of the butterscotch, a little bit of the honey even there. And at the end, there's this certain type of a plum. If you ever go to Chinese restaurants, at least over here in Europe, they often put a little bottle of plum wine on the table. That's instead of water. Over here, we drink a lot more alcohol, I guess, at least in the restaurants. And at my favorite Asian restaurant that I go to, my wife just loves that plum wine. And so she'll drink it, I'll drive home, and then sometimes she gets to take the little bottle with her. And that's what I get at the end, that plum wine. So over here, this is just MPG juice. This is really, really nice. Remember the High West 10-year-old bourbons? Yeah, that's about the thing it is. This is very, 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 very nice. Very smooth. A lot more butterscotch. A lot more of those vanillas in there. Very, very nice. A little bit even of the pecan. Even though they're almost distilled at the same time, even though they're actually from the same distillery, they're totally different things due to the maturation in different climates as well as the finish. And it's very, very evident. Wait a second. Wow. It's very evident when I try this. It's hot. I mean, it's super peppery hot. As if you would tell, what? This is a how old? This is a 10-year-old bourbon, or 8-year-old, I'm sorry. It's like, no, it's not. Oh, wow. Now over here, it's a no age statement, but it's around 6 to 7 years old. It's it's 2 proof points higher, and it's so much smoother. And that's the influence of the climate. So, so important. Where these bottles actually, or where the barrels actually mature. And so it'd be very, very interesting to see what happens if we put some, maybe up in northern Canada. Let's just put it up to Washington State. All right, so we have some things up there in Seattle, and we have that more of a moderate climate in Seattle, where all year round it's almost the same temperature. Not identical, but it's not that variation that we have in Kentucky and Indiana. And I'm very, very certain that up there, in that moderate climate, you're going to have something which is very similar to Scotland, Ireland, maybe even continental Europe, where it just basically stays the same. Now this, Kentucky, Indiana, minus degrees in the winter, 100 plus Fahrenheit in the summer, and that really does make a difference, and it really does give you a totally different mouth feel. So I'm going to dilute this down just a little bit, as well as, I don't know why, but I'm going to do this here as well. It opens up very, very nicely with water, by the way. It's actually just amazing how much influence these different environmental factors have on a cask. Not even the wood, but as we know in the warehouse, if it's up in the left-hand corner next to a window, it might be a honey pot, or it might be exactly in the middle where there is actually no water or no wind whatsoever, which might be the honey pot. The honey barrels. That's so decisive, the place in the warehouse, and also here which part of the country or which part of the world this actually then was matured in. Oh, I do like that very, very light plum character towards the end. It's still rough around the edges a little bit. I'm going to give this a B minus. Value for money over here, it's going to be a C. There aren't many bourbons at all over here from independent distillers. We don't have bottle picks over here. That's basically what this is, and this is a bottle pick with a sherry octave finish, which is also something I don't think that happens a lot in the States either. And it's matured someplace else in the world. All right, I gave this over here, I think, actually an A minus. I'm giving this a B minus today. Value for money, as I said, more of a C minus. So my question of the day is, what is your favorite bourbon with a finish? Now, most of you are going to say, Angel's Envy! And I'm sure you're right. But is there anything else you like? Anything else out there that you've had with a bourbon with a finish? So as you have to say now, Kentucky Straight Bourbon with a finish. All right, thank you very much for watching. Whiskey Jason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays my videos come out. Please like, please subscribe, please tell others about this crazy guy over here in Europe tasting things you will probably never get your hands on. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.